Hello and welcome back to Behind Closed Doors. I'm joined by Martin Wells, who's the chairman of Out with Prostate Cancer. We're going to discuss the support group, how Martin first got involved and what he's doing to help others. If you've got any questions for us today, you can get in touch with the show by texting us at 07548 200 007. So we'll carry on where we took off. We were talking about yourself and how prostate cancer's affected you. So tell me how it's actually affected your body and your life then.
I had a radical prostatectomy, then radiotherapy, and I remember 3 weeks after the operation, I was having a shower, got a very big scar with all the clips in, and I remember as I was washing myself down, I was thinking, I wonder if I can have an orgasm, because what happens with having no prostate, you can't ejaculate, and I couldn't get my head round. An orgasm and ejaculation, aren't they the same thing? Anyway, I started to sort of mess around with myself and I thought, wow, I think something's happening. I wasn't getting a hard on, but something was definitely sort of turning me on. So I thought, wow, if I do ejaculate, I wonder if I'm going to rip my stitches. And I thought, sod it, I'll go for it. So I went for it. I orgasmed. There was nothing coming out, so obviously it showed I can't ejaculate, but I thought, oh wow, I can have an orgasm. For me, I'm slightly autistic, for me, after I washed and dried myself, I text my urology nurse. I said, Debbie, I've just had my first wank, and I sent that off as a text. Very quickly I got a text back from Debbie saying, you're the first person who's actually texted me with something like that. And I was kind of shocked. I was shocked that my urology nurse was shocked, because surely if I'd have had a leg taken off and this was the first time I ran, surely I'd say to the surgeon who took my leg off, hey, thanks you know, it's the first time I've ran. So that introduced me to this whole world of we don't talk about things. And for me, again, with my autistic condition, what I found was when people asked me, oh, how are you now, Martin, with your prostate cancer? I would think, well, great, I'll tell you how I am. I can't ejaculate, but I can have an orgasm. My libido shot to pieces. And then suddenly I could see the shock on their face going, whoa, far too much information. And it's like, well, why did you ask me the question? If you didn't want to know the answer, why did you ask me that? So what I've seen, Katie, is there's a whole world out there of people not talking about the stuff which really goes on.
Exactly. And do you think that's because it is such a private part of your body then, the stigma behind prostate cancer?
Yeah, I think of it as it's a sexual cancer. So if I see somebody, a TV personality on television being interviewed on breakfast television at 7:30 in the morning, hello, Andrew Lloyd Webber, you've had prostate cancer, you've had the operation, how are you now, Andrew? Oh, I'm fine. And I think, I'm not fine. I don't think you're fine. How can you say you're fine and you can't get an erection, you can't ejaculate, your libido shot to pieces, but then again, it's breakfast telly and it's not the kind of thing you talk about? Well, for me, I want to talk about it, and that's one reason for talking with yourself.
It's a part of your life now, isn't it? And you've accepted it and you have to talk about it. Otherwise, like we've had this discussion, I've learned things I'd have never have known if you hadn't have told me. So tell me about how it's affected, you've said it may have, well, it's affected your sex life, and how's it affected relationship-wise over those 8 years?
I think being gay and the way I've exhibited my gayness, when I've been in a relationship with someone, I've really wanted to be monogamous. When I've not been in a relationship, I've wanted to go out there and have sex. So if I've been on Grindr, sex for gay men out there is pretty ruthless. So it's all about how big's your dick, can I have sex, can I have sex now, all that kind of stuff. So when I've been on Grindr, it's like, when's the stage I'm going to tell someone I actually can't get a hard on? I have to inject myself or put a cock ring on or get a pump or do certain things which isn't part of the paraphernalia of having normal gay sex, whatever that means. So there was one incident I remember on Grindr, this really good looking guy and I thought I'll tell him about my problem. And I said, actually, if we meet, I have a problem where I have real big difficulties getting hard on. And he said, oh, actually, I have premature ejaculation problems. And I said, I remember saying to him, I bet you don't say that to many people on Grindr. And he said, you're the first person I've told.
Yeah.
So I said, well, let's meet. I can't ejaculate, but I can have an orgasm. You have trouble with premature ejaculation. Let's just mess around. So we met and we had a great time for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's quite unusual, but that's my mentality, I think. Out there, it's very much about wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
So you found that relationships, people might be put off then by this fact about you, and that you're struggling to get a boyfriend, is that right? Is it because of confidence-wise or their part?
Really good question, that. I think I filter in the right kind of person I have sex with when I'm not in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I've had relationships with, in the last 6 years, with 2 guys who've been absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, near the end of the relationship, through normal human behaviour, it's not worked out. But I've been so well supported by those 2 guys. One guy I was in a relationship with for 4 years, and another guy I've just split up with in a relationship for 1.5 years. So sweet, so supportive. And I discovered sensuality. I thought having a relationship was just about sex, and what I found is, because the sex bit wasn't there, the mechanical bit wasn't there, I discovered the sensuality of touching, kissing, feeling, exploring other people's bodies. It was great.
So before you got diagnosed with prostate cancer, were you quite a sexually active person then? And was this part of the results of and problems of prostate cancer the most devastating thing to you then?
It was, I didn't realise until I had prostate cancer that my way of expressing my sexuality was, I would say, typically male, which was, I get a hard on, I'm horny, I get a hard on, I want sex, I ejaculate, everything's great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And all the chemicals get released, and you know, that feels fantastic. When all those things didn't happen, I was in a different world. I wanted to explore, there must be other possibilities. What I found is my wiring wants to do things, but it won't connect the electrical signals. So as a small example, I've got very good continence, so my bladder is really good.
Yeah.
But a couple of years ago, what I found was I started to leak urine, and I thought, oh blimey, my bladder has now started to go wrong. And what I found was, I actually spotted some good-looking guy, and my unconscious libido was getting ready, hopefully for sex, all unconsciously, and sending all the signals down, and weren't connecting with the right bits, and was actually disturbing my bladder in some way. So now I actually wear a tenor pad, because even though my continence is still good, every now and again I might just leak a little bit of wee.
Yeah.
And that doesn't smell nice, and I want to feel confident.
Yeah.
So,
and fresh.
and fresh.
Yeah. So with all this, you said not many people talk about it and things like that. You've actually started your own support group.
Yeah.
So tell me what that is then.
I met up with Andrew Gilliver and Sean Ralph. And Sean is a radiographer, gay radiographer at Clatterbridge. He doesn't have prostate cancer. Andrew is the community engagement officer at the LGBT Foundation.
Yeah.
I've got prostate cancer. And we sort of all looked at each other and said, we've really got to make this thing happen.
Yes.
So I asked Andrew, could we have some resource from LGBT Foundation? And he was fantastic. The resource was made available. Sean was there from a medical point of view. And we started our first group about 2 years ago. We had a number of people come along, and we started to talk about the stuff we as gay, bisexual men wanted to talk about. Equally, now we have trans women who are involved with the group, because trans women who are born male have prostates, and the health system has a little bit of difficulty handling trans women, because if a trans woman has a blood test, prostate PSA tests are for men.
Yes.
Therefore, the test won't go through because there's these barriers. So the support group supports gay men, bisexual men, and trans women, friends, family, partners of those people.
And what kind of things do you do? So you've got a magazine here, and tell me what's in here then, a normal magazine that you'd produce.
We got some funding from the Department of Health, and we wanted to produce what we'd call a small magazine. A small magazine to start a conversation.
Yeah.
This isn't like a journal where you learn stuff from it, even though people can. But what we wanted to do was, for instance, which penis pump is the best pump? You get one pump on the NHS, and it's quite clumsy. But there are guys I know who want to use things like this, who can go to the Rob Shop and other online sex stores. There's much more equipment available out there for gay, bisexual men.
I'm so sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there, Martin, but thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really, really interesting. Thanks to you at home for watching too, and we'll be back very soon for another episode of Behind Closed Doors. See you next time.